Mtawange.
Mbehle mhlobam. Akhondo.
You suited up, you're going to a funeral, ngathi uyongcwaba iPirates.
Nah man, ilanga lesabatha namhlanje, so I must go to church by 10. So I decided to go to no, I can't wait until midnight. Let me rather do this thing now, vent now, and then go to church and pray.
Good morning to our viewers. Welcome to the Pirates Forum show again. We're shooting on a Saturday morning as it was a game yesterday, Friday night. Orlando Pirates versus Jwaneng Galaxy, CAF Champions League, last qualifier round before the group stages. Pirates lost through penalties. They won the actual game 1-0, but we had lost 1-0 back in Botswana, meaning that the teams cancelled each other out within the space of the 180 minutes that they were involved in. But unfortunately, we lost on penalties. Young Lebohile missed his penalty. Njange, thoughts on the game?
Sure. Yazi, Mbehle, you could see from the first minute to go to Jwaneng, they knew what they were here to do. They came here to play a low block. Give credit to their coach because somehow he knows if you apply a low block against Orlando Pirates, your chances of getting a result in that particular game are at 90%. Because we seem to struggle when a team is playing a low block. And it's been since last season and also again this season, we seem to struggle against teams that applies a low block. So I don't know when I'm better how we didn't anticipate it might happen because Jwaneng, they gave everything for first leg. So second leg, if you're born in the first 20 minutes, this team, they are not here to open up. They're not here to play football. They're not going to open up. So I don't see how Okapinga wasn't introduced earlier because you need players who knows how to find these spaces in back end. Okapinga is one of those players. I was disappointed a bit and Gundronjo Izolo. Yazi. As I said last week, I thought the era where he just gives the opponent the ball cheaply was a thing of the past, but it continues. And I saw on the Bonili sense again. But he came as on better for you to. We were not so bad, but if you can't break down an opposition like Jwaneng Galaxy, with due respect to them, I mean, they are a team from Botswana. You are Orlando Pirates. It shouldn't be easy. I'm not saying it should be easy to break down as a team, but when you compare Eastern and Orlando Pirates, Eastern and Jwaneng Galaxy, there should be a difference, and there should be a big difference. So if you can't break down the opposition as Jwaneng Galaxy, then if, let's say, we progress to the final and then in our group we had 2 teams from Tunisia and maybe 1 from West Africa, how are we going to break them down? Because if we can't break down the Jwaneng Galaxy, the low block, then I don't see this is our competition and go forward and bring any results. So it was utterly disappointing. I'm so disappointed we couldn't go to a group stages, the CAF Champions League. There were only 2 teams standing before us. It was Jabal and Jwaneng Galaxy. And are you telling me Orlando Pirates couldn't beat those 2 teams and progress to the next stage, in group stages? At least finish third in the group stages, then you can tell me, okay, Mdange, we are paying school fees. I will understand. But you can't tell me, Mbese, you are paying school fees by losing to Jwaneng Galaxy. No, that's nonsense, Mbese. No, 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 no. Ayikho loo nto leyo. No. Orlando Pirates failed last night. It failed, Mbese. Failed. That was disappointing. It failed, yeah. It failed, there's nowhere. I couldn't clip in the city. The city, no. This is Jose's first CAF Champions League appearance. But Mbese, look at the opposition that we failed to beat. You can't fail to beat Jwaneng Galaxy and expect Oguti, this guy, this coach or this club is going far. No. No, Mbese. It doesn't work like that, Mshobam.
Sorry, I'm on mute. So,
Yeah, you're not.
what do you think exactly? Do you think our performance was bad,
No.
or
It was.
just we couldn't break them enough, or we didn't take our chances? I'm just trying to analyze from a performance perspective without being emotional about the result. Because it's the same thing that happened on Sunday. Sunday we're not good enough, but we're good enough to progress to a final. But now when we're good enough performance wise, or we played, especially in the second half that I thought, but we did not take our chances as well of those chances that came in. But it was not good enough. It took us to penalties, which is a 50-50 and can anyone can win in penalties. How did
Yeah.
you rate our performance before I come into my feelings about how I feel about the whole situation?
No, performance-wise, in Bethel, we were not bad. Performance-wise, we were not bad. We had the majority of the ball, and also that's because each one in Galaxy decided to sit back and allow us to have Ebola. And another thing I could say, Mhlawumbi, we didn't have Ebola quick positions where we could make each one in Galaxy panic and also commit errors. Because they were so comfortable on the ball in Bethel. If you could see, there were few moments where they just hoofed it forward. In most instances, when I'm better, and in most moments, they were playing from the back. They were playing from the back, which shows you these guys were just too comfortable because we were not threatening them enough in critical positions. The performance that wasn't bad in terms of rotating the ball, but in terms of getting the ball into those dangerous areas, we were not enough. And even in those moments where we found ourselves inside their 18-yard area or inside their 6-yard area, you will think that we are playing a semi-final of a Nedbank Cup or an MTN8 final where igazi libaleka liyenhloko player we will see okay, now he's panicking. There was a moment where Umahopa had the ball. Instead of just looking for a teammate in Pete and make a simple pass, he shot Ibola nje yophuma yoba yi-throw kwela cala, and I couldn't understand because guys, if when I'm Pete, you're gonna be under pressure, I was boxing against Jwaneng Galaxy, then how are you going to react in the Soweto derby? How are you going to react in the final when you find yourself in that situation? Because I think when I'm find out boxing as a striker, it will also depend on the quality of the opposition that you're playing with. I mean, if you're playing against Jwaneng Galaxy, if Jwaneng Galaxy bona bakwazile ukuthi babe comfortable ngendlela babe comfortable ngayo, intoni ehlula uMahopa ukuthi abe comfortable eboxing, intoni ehlula uZakhele lepass ukuthi abe comfortable eboxing, intoni ehlula uKamvidi ukuthi abe comfortable eboxing, because even uKamvidi had a moment when he was inside the box, even ulanika uShandu, but you could see ukuthi they are rushing things. Why? Against Jwaneng Galaxy, why? But as I said, performance-wise, we were not bad, but we just couldn't get the ball. Galaxy.
Yeah, and it's always hard to look at positives in a result like this. This is so disappointing. It's disappointing when something you were not expecting to happens, because we should not be losing to, with all due respect to sides like Abo Jwaneng Galaxy. We should not be losing to them. But I did allude days earlier, you will remember, when we were analyzing the previous game, that if if there's a football club that can disappoint its supporters in this country, it's ours, and it actually came alive in this particular game. I'm not gonna say the performance. I won't lie to you. I was not disappointed with how we recycled the ball in terms of them allowing us to have the ball and all of that. Performance wise, I was happy. We tried. I'm just disappointed at us not completing the job. My mindset at the beginning of the game was that we need 3 goals because I was
Yeah.
under the impression that we're gonna concede. So we needed 3 goals to progress here. So we 2 goals short. We didn't concede, but we 2 goals short of the target that I thought we needed. And we needed an early goal. How we started was not good. Our first half was really, really not good. A lot of people didn't come into the party. We didn't threaten them enough in that particular first half. Even Kermit Erasmus was not doing enough in the first half, but second half he came alive for me, and a lot of people came alive for me in that second half. And Lukambu Witi also came alive when he replaced Ndlondo because in his speed of thought, in wanting to try things, you understand. My biggest disappointment in the second half was once again Patrick Maswanganyi thinking that he's got the freedom of the pitch
Yeah.
and just falling over, not making correct decision. I'm a bit disappointed with how he's come back after the international break. I'm very, very disappointed with his past 3 performances. For me, they have not been performances of how he performed when he first came into the club. And I'm a bit critical, and I'll mention him because it's not the only one, but I'll mention him because people are afraid to mention their favorite players when they mess up. If it
Exactly.
was a Shine or anyone, we are quick to go for them. But if it's these players that are our supposedly best players, we do not go for them. He's been crap. He didn't play well yesterday again. He delays, he gets dispossessed quickly. I was thinking maybe it's a PSL problem whereby maybe they've analyzed him and they've gotten close to him, but it's not a PSL problem, and he needs to get back to speed quickly. He needs to get back to speed in terms of his decision making. So I had a big problem in that second half with him. People who were next to me will let you know that I was up in arms every time he fell or every time he didn't pass the ball. There was one he lost and didn't track back, and they nearly scored. There's a guy was playing on our
On the
right
left.
channel. He came on their left on our
On
right channel. He came
yeah, yeah,
inside.
yeah,
He
yeah,
took a
yeah, yeah,
shot
yeah.
and it went wide. It was because he had lost the ball
I saw
unnecessarily
that. Mm,
in their half and didn't even chase back. So I get frustrated with regards to such things.
yeah.
Otherwise, it is what it is. We lost. I don't know what to say, Dange. Really, you've said everything that there is to say. I'm disappointed. I'm really, really disappointed. I couldn't
Hey,
talk
better.
yesterday. I couldn't talk yesterday, and I don't know where to from here. Not to lie to you. It's a league game and then the final. So I really, really don't know how much of
Is the league game?
this.
Is the league
Yeah,
game
we're
before the
playing
final?
Amasu. Yeah,
I
we're
think
playing Amasu
is it not
in
cancelled?
Durban. No, we're playing Amasu in
Okay.
Durban. We're playing
It's,
Amasu in Durban.
uh,
So I really, really don't know. I do know, but I feel like I'm disappointed to the fact that you've already alluded to almost all of the things that concerned me about yesterday, and it's water under the bridge, really.
hey,
I
better.
I wanted to ask though, as your last parting shot before I release you to go and pray for this football club, Jose Riveiro. Uh, how much how much of a fault are you putting these losses towards him? Let me if wait, let me rephrase. I'll take the Stellenbosch game, even though we lost it. I'll take it as a win. because it put us to the next round. I'll take this game against Jwaneng as a loss because even though we won in actual 90 minutes, it has not made us to progress. So it's for me. Let's use a scenario whereby we say this is 3 losses in 4 games. How many of these are his fault?
Behle, let me start with where this whole problem started. It started in Botswana. It all started in Botswana, Mshobam, where he made a whole some changes. Good team. Mind you, Behle, we as fans, we always have preferences. If you can say, even now, if I can say name your starting 11, and then I will name mine. Obviously, Aizufana and Behle are different. So as fans, it's always like that. So I won't lie, before that game, you're Jwaneng Galaxy, we all wanted to see some changes. But as a coach, you need to have your timing. You go, okay, if I want to reintroduce Olisanda back into the team, let me do it right. You can't just change your whole team because you are anticipating there's another big game coming midweek in Mhlawumbi. For example, like game Sundowns. I think wafaka focus yonke ka game Sundowns, of which there is no guarantee ukuthi uzawina game against Sundowns or any other team for instance. So zonke ezingxaki impela ziqale eBotswana, where he made other changes zonke wezeze eBotswana, and then he gave chances to some other players of ezinye azange ziperforme to the best of their ability, yabo. And then it came to like game Sundowns where we lost. So it game Sundowns and imali kakhulu impela, we lost, but there were some positives there, of which I was hoping Uguti we were gonna take those positives into our next game against Stellenbosch, of which as I said, a lot of players never showed up against Stellenbosch. And again, our coaches made it changes like game Stellenbosch, where we saw the likes of Munare not being there, the likes of Osilisi Bengeko, Shandu coming back into the team, Monyane not starting. Also, again, Izolo Mbese. It came here Izolo. I think, that's the good we are chasing the game. So when we are chasing the game, I don't know what's happening with Lodge. I don't know what's happening with Pule and Mbese. But as I said last week, and I'm still saying it, we need to have those players, Mbese, who have been in this situation. Because if you remember, in Paris, once they go through this phase, there's this phase. Sometimes we always get it like Paris season, where we will go maybe 6 or 7 games without scoring a goal. I remember under Umicho and Rulani, we had this era where we didn't score goals. We were playing just draws. It's unfortunate now, Guti, we are just losing. So Jose Reveiro for me, when I'm still willing to give him a he must finish his term. But this season, if he doesn't challenge the Sundowns enough this season, and also next season, if he fails to deliver a league title, then I think a relationship, I think it should end. Because there is no cup when I'm league. So if he's going to finish 20 plus points behind Sundowns again this season, I'm giving him only next season to redeem himself. And if he fails next season, I don't care whether he wins the MTN 8, the Nedbank Cup, and also the Telkom Knockout, the Carling Black Label Cup, then we must let him go. As I said, if we were able to let Ukrol after winning the league, Nedbank, the MTN 8, I don't understand why Jose Reveiro just because he won us cups. No, so I think he's a color like game against Sundowns. Don't get him. So we need to redeem ourselves also against Amazulu, as you said. But I think like Amazulu is postponed, man. I'm not sure. But if you said you are playing against Amazulu, then I think we're gonna need to find something to do against Amazulu before going to the final against Sundowns next week.
No, we're playing Amazulu on Wednesday. It's okay. Not postponed. The postponed game is Golden Arrows today. It was supposed to be today. That game is postponed. So it's continuing. My last parting shots are pretty much the same as yours. I'm not gonna say we should have picked this and this team back in Botswana because football is a game of opinions. If that game brings us a different result, we laud Jose for changing the team. because Sundowns did it midweek and you couldn't see the difference. So perhaps there's a difference in quality with our second team, supposedly second team to their second team. So those things I cannot comment on. Sundowns game, I was disappointed with how we started. The game that I was disappointed in him was the Stellenbosch game. That's the only game that I think I give him any much fault for me. Yesterday, the player should have won that game. We tried to win that game, and penalties. I don't watch penalties in Dang. I don't know if I've never told you. I stood up after 90 minutes, and then I went to sit alone in a corner there. Then I came back when the result was finished. I don't watch penalties because it's 50-50 and I have anxiety. So, and Paris brings me anxiety when it comes to penalties anyway. So, I'm not going to say he should be fired. He shouldn't. Must continue. I'm not going to lead the revolution of him leaving the football club. But with us getting this unfortunate setback, which also lessens the load in terms of fixture congestion, I'm expecting us to be very close to Mamelodi Sundowns. The gap to not be as wide as it was last season. Then I will take this season as a progression. I don't care about cups. I've said it at the beginning of the season. I'm not even going to Durban for the MTN 8, for instance, because in terms of my priority list on my side, it's something that I've seen us win before. If we win, great. I don't want us to lose. Don't misinterpret me. But I am not going there. I would go to our final league game if we were to win a league game. So I'm not about cups. I just want the league. So I want better performances within the league. That's what I want. And then next season, I want us not to challenge for the league. I want us to win the league. If it doesn't win the league next season, he needs to go for me. That is the latest that I can give this coach. So it's disappointment. Need to move forward, Mdange. It is what it is. Having said that, I have to close and let you go to church. Please pray for Orlando Pirates. Pray for the next game against Amazon, because we need to go into Sundowns with a bit of confidence. To Amapakania, don't sing for football clubs who have lost 4 games in a row.
Never do that.
You are setting us up for mediocrity.
Never do that.
You are setting us up for mediocrity. I understand the first 2 games, but when it gets to 4, please don't do that to us, because the players don't. I'm not saying throw stuff, but they need to understand that we have a limit of things we can tolerate from them. We cannot tolerate
4 losses in a row.
We cannot tolerate 4 defeats in a row. So it needs to change quickly.
Sorry to cut you off. If you remember our game against Sundowns, where we put in a solid performance in the second half, you could see they tried. They wanted something out of that game. After the game, let's clap for them. They must go and redeem themselves. But if they're going to lose against Jwaneng Galaxy, leave them there on the pitch. Just go home. Leave them there, because that's unacceptable. That's mediocrity. If you're going to sit there, beat drums after they lost a CAF Champions League preliminary round against Jwaneng Galaxy, don't sing for them. Leave them there on the pitch. They must go and redeem themselves. They're playing for Pirates, these guys. They're playing for Orlando Pirates. If someone is not ready to play for Orlando Pirates, if someone can't stand up under pressure, he must leave. He must just ask the chairman to give him his clearance, and then he must leave. And then we must recruit other players. Even if we recruit those boys who are coached by Joseph Makanya, if those boys knows what it takes to wear the jersey of Orlando Pirates. And Betty, I'm so disappointed at 3 players. I'm so disappointed Gumako. I'm so disappointed Gumonare. I'm so disappointed Maswanganyi for allowing Uratomo to stand up and go and kick a penalty. A crucial Betty, I know this boy is playing for his senior team. He's allowed to take the penalties, but we should have saved Umufukeng zone. I'm so disappointed with a coach and his 2 assistants allowed Umdana to walk from the center to go and kick a penalty and not even saying no, save the ball. I'm so disappointed in Better they allowed Umufukeng to go and kick the penalty. That shouldn't have happened. 3 senior players in Better stood there and watched Umdana going there to kick the penalty. The only thing they could do was wait for him to come back and console him. That is not what they should have done. They should have said, no, boy, this is beyond when. Let us take responsibility. But they sit there, they waited for Umdana Abuye, then consoled him. Why? No, I'm so disappointed, man. This guy's better. Anyway, thank you, better. Let me go and pray. I don't want to arrive at Window. Otherwise, I'm fuming.
We're out of time, Mdanje.
Thank you,
I disagree with you on your disappointment. The boy is an Orlando Pirates player. He will only grow from this. I'm sure he volunteered himself to kick a penalty. Perhaps he's not a bad penalty kicker, and it happened that he missed, and it's part of the game. He will get angry from this particular reaction and only grow from here. So to blame who and who, it really, for me, it doesn't matter now, because the boy was brave enough to go and take the penalty, and he's also a Pirates player, so he has to take a penalty at some point. So for me, I'm looking at it from that particular angle, but I understand the angle that you're looking at it in. But for me, it's he's a player. If a player says that they want to take a penalty, they want to take a penalty, and he has the luxury that he's a young player, and no one is going to blame him for that penalty miss, because it took courage, and I like courageous people. So if he had to take a penalty out of the 5 again, I'd say let him go and take it, because he's our player and he feels confident. If he feels confident enough to go and take a penalty, then he should be let go to go and take a penalty. It shouldn't be that we put a blame on senior players. Mafopa could have taken a penalty. He's a striker. He didn't go and take a penalty in the first 5. So he should be blamed if we are also putting people to blame. So for me, penalties, anything can happen. I told you I don't watch penalties, and it is for these particular reasons. And I can't fault our penalties, because I can't even fault I can fault the sub, but I can't fault him for not saving penalties, because penalties are not easy to save. You understand? They're easier to score than to save. They're not easy to save. And we should have won this game in regulation time, so that we do not get into a point whereby we are having discussions about penalties. So let's close it there. Mapakania, thank you for listening. Please subscribe and let us know your thoughts in the comment section on how we can improve. Apologies, there were breakup in sounds, I think, while we're shooting this, but it's not really something that could affect your listening throughout the whole video. Otherwise, we say once and always a Pirate, even in defeat. Up the Bucks.
Up the Bucks and best. Go some shabam.
Shopper.